No, in the principle, it's the same problem. It is just much more complex. So you still have this issue that you won't be sure that any copy of your software, which can be installed and executed, will be paid. So you not get cheated by people who refuse to pay the license. This principle hadn't changed. So what changes in this time, in 1987, you must admit there was not even CDs really available. There were music CDs available, brand new from 1985, but there was no data CDs that came out later. We had floppy disks at this time. So it was the only way how you distribute a software. Yeah, so today you download the software usually, so it's much easier. You get your copy illegally executed,
Hmm.
and when you don't provide a download, no one knows your software. So it's really difficult. That was one thing. And then the next thing is that customers try to hack our protection. So they try to get the
Yes.
code out. And so we said we have to protect this. We have to make reverse engineering protection. We have to add disassembling and tracing protection. So a lot of things that the customer cannot go in the debugger and say, oh, here's this one function. We never had this so simple. We always encrypted code, but finally, you have customers, they say, oh, I know how to remove all this. The software is like bananas. It gets arrived finally at the customer side. You buy a
Yes,
green
yes.
banana, see how it gets yellow. Yeah?
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. Today, the episode is all about what it actually takes to protect software in the world where everything is connected, everything run on a code. Stake keep getting higher. I'm Karajan Ilgar, founder of Founders, where we help businesses run more efficiently through practical AI and automation. And I'm really glad to be joined today by Marcello Buchheit, the co-founder and the CEO of Wibu-Systems USA. Wibu-System is focusing on helping software vendors and device manufacturers protect their intellectual properties, managing licensing, and stay secure in an increasingly complex digital world. So today we're going to talk about how software protection has evolved over 35 years, what's genuinely getting harder as AI and connected device taking over industrial environments, and what founders, operators should be thinking about, what most of them aren't. Marcelo, really glad to have you on today.
Thank you. And I'm glad I'm here, and thanks for inviting me.
Awesome, thanks. So before getting into that meat of it, right? So I have to ask, right? You co-founded a Weibo system in 1987. That's
1989. We not add two more
yeah,
years.
1989. Sorry, 1989, right? So that's not a typo, right? That's what were you actually trying to solve back then? And did you have any idea the company would still running and the growth 35 years later?
Yeah, when you start a company, and that you will same with your company, you possibly expect this company will survive until you sell it or you die or whatever. Yeah,
Yes,
but
yes.
yeah, my partner Oliver Vincent and me, we know us from doing common projects together since 1981. We had
Wow.
a good relationship of how we worked because we trusted both deeply each other. And I think that's the main reason why we still exist, because most companies even fail because they make big mistakes on the market. But I think the more is also that the founders disagree over time, and then it falls apart, and
Yep.
this is bad for the business. So this is the first lucky thing. It's like a lifetime marriage, I guess. Yeah, it works,
Yes.
and it's not always working, but it works in our situation. We actually had both own companies. So he had a company for developing. And I think it was mostly analog processor software, really complex things in this time. It was a very new
Mhm.
area. So he was in so little in chip design, and I was a Windows consulting expert, so I get my money with consulting. We just saw we need more money for growing our business, so we had this common idea: let's just make a money maker when we sell something. And we saw other companies who make good money with software protection. In this time,
Mm.
you actually had a hardware dongle for parallel port, and you attach this, and the software checks if the hardware is there, and if not there, you cannot run it. Very easy going. And so we say, oh, this will be easy. The problem is we both perfectionists, and you see this in our logo also, perfection in software protection and all these things. So we made a really good product. Took much longer than we expected, and then it was finally finished. No one knows that we made such a great product. So we had to learn how we make marketing, how we start active sales, and it took us a while. So that's we still exist. Is I think really it's not normal. I would say there was a lot of luck involved as well. We had relatively big customers at the beginning. We was both relatively modest, so we still had make our money with our own companies, hired then the first person who makes operating, paid this person, and we still not get paid. And so if we not make so this big, we now for company owners and we wealthy now and we have the good life. And so I think that helps a lot at the beginning. When you think back about Amazon, they also were super frugal at the beginning. Yeah, they didn't buy desks. They bought doors, what they used as desks, yeah, because there was the cheapest art how you get a big
Mm.
put in your house in your office. So we were similar, and after a while we growing, and now we still exist. So I will say
Aw-
this is a summary to start.
Awesome, awesome. So yeah, I think maybe that's the kind of secret of, both of you are perfectionists, right? In the beginning, so that force you to kind of start a very strong foundation that leads to kind of today's kind of lifespan of the company, right? So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you look at what was a company done today versus what you set out to do, is it the same problem or has a problem fundamentally changed?
No, in the principle, it's the same problem. It is just much more complex. So you still have this issue that you won't be sure that any copy of your software, which can be installed and executed, will be paid. So you not get cheated by people who refuse to pay the license. This principle hadn't changed. So what changes in this time, 1987, you must admit there was not even CDs really available. There were music CDs available, brand new from 1985, but there was no data CDs that came out later. We had floppy disks at this time. So it was the only way how you distribute a software. Yeah, so today you download the software usually, so it's much easier. You get your copy illegally executed.
Hmm.
When you don't provide a download, no one knows your software. So it's really difficult. That was one thing. And then the next thing is that customers try to hack our protection. So they try to get code
Yes.
out. And so we said we have to protect this. We have to make reverse engineering protection. We have to add disassembling and replacing protection. So a lot of things that the customer cannot go in the debugger and say, oh, here's this one function. We never had this so simple. We always encrypted code. But finally, you have customers, they say, oh, I know how to remove all this. And this is not the customer who used the software. This is someone who sells you a tool who said, dongle remover or license protection remover. Here's my cheap tool.
Yes.
And then he said, I don't abuse it. I just provide the tool. This is so like you sell a tool to crack a normal lock, not automatic a crime guy. The guy who uses it is the crime guy, but you have to find this guy. Yeah. So it's really difficult. And so we invested a heavy effort to make this very secure against cracking. When customer came to us and said, my software is hacked again, we helped them. We analyzed how it was hacked, and then we learned how we can make it better. So we learned out of
Mm.
this, and this is different to competitors who said, "Yeah, everything get cracked. We cannot do it perfect. No, we want to make it perfect." Uh,
I
so
got
there
it.
was, so that is the other thing is the protection, and then the second part is license management. That you say, I want not just sell my single software copy. I want actually have actually a relatively complex, expensive software, and customer says, I don't want pay so much money and I don't need everything you have. I need just a subset. Can I get the subset? And so this is so to say feature on demand. The customer buy a feature when he needs it. He doesn't buy it instantly. So this changed dramatically. That was not in the beginning. And what's also changing is we have, of course, now the world of subscription. So everything is renewed. So you need an expiration date. Who said when the software is not renewed, the software cannot use anymore. So you have a time restriction. So that stuff changed. And then you have this whole, what we say, software monetization, where the customer starts actually with the marketing department, the product management, a whole strategy how I want do my software licensing. Yeah. So I come with some trial licenses. I have then the market, then I sell my basic package, the expensive optional feature no one buys, so I started maybe a trial license and promote this as a customer. And this is all working out of our code meter solution. So that is, I would say, from the market, from the side of the usage, of the side of the client, the most important evolution since 1989. From the technical side, I won't go into too many details. Of course, everything changed. Yeah, we don't have parallel ports anymore. We still have dongles and USB, but dongles are optional. We can also have other options up to store the license in the cloud, on a ground server. So we listen what customers want. We see what's technology possible, and we merge this together to a successful product. I would say that is so the success story we have since 37 years.
Awesome, awesome. So coming to my like a main question, right? So now is I want to set the stage for people listening might not live in this world, right? When most people hear software licensing, they probably think of like a serial number on the post-it note or a SaaS subscription. But what you are dealing with, this is completely different level of complexity, right? So industrial machineries, embedded system, AI models. Can you give us a picture of what does a landscape actually look like today for what kind of companies you're working with?
Yeah, this is we universal, not specialized in a special market of software. So we have on the one side the traditional software which is installed on a desktop and you have it used in the office. That is actually a little challenging because a lot of the software moves actually to software as a service.
Yeah, yes,
But refuse all this installation and updating and everything. And of course, if you work in your office every day, I would say your internet connection is now the same reliability like your power connection or your and so
yes,
you know have connection. So this is one thing. On the other side, there's of course still performance issues when you work remotely. Everything installed on the SaaS solution. It's not perfect, and you see products like Office or Word in Office, they still are installed most time on the machines, and people don't give that up. So there is still a market for the software in the office, but this is just the beginning of our portfolio. We have then the very important embedded market where software is installed in automation environments and they have usually no internet connection. Not usually, it depends. But when you
mm,
have a connection, you have usually always the risk that someone can hack it.
yes,
There is a famous book I recommend for everyone to read this. They said that the title of the book said, "If it's smart, it is vulnerable." So when you not have good reason why your automation environment needs an internet connection, you better don't have it. And
got
then
it, got it.
you have the problem suddenly back. Now I have a environment where my software runs. I cannot install any SaaS. I cannot even install an instant connection to my server and find out the software is authorized to be used. So that is where also the dongles get very popular again. So our dongles are USB, as all USB. I mean, we have also a micro SD card and SD card, but this is more a little on the sideline. The major
Yes,
market USB. And so we have very small ones. They're only looking a couple of millimeters, 2 or 3 millimeters out of a device, so they not get easily broken or something. And so customers said, and this is so interesting in the automation industry, you think more in hardware, yeah, connected hardware. Here's a USB, here's a PC, here's a USB cable, here's a network cable and here's a dongle. Yeah, so this works together. Build this together, attach it, and it will work. And when your robot or your sensor or your actuator, whatever you're using, is suddenly broken, as you said, here's my backup system. Everything is already connected. Just get the dongle out, get to the other side, start this backup problem system, and you back. When you have so a software with the connection software-based license, what we also sell, we're very flexible, to a machine with the MAC address and all this complex connection, it will take longer. So you have maybe then a second computer, a second device, which is also everything is installed, and you have actually on this what we also provide. So the
mm,
extended license. So that means you have a license that work not permanently. Otherwise, you would have two licenses, but you bought only one. No, you get actually a backup license where it's available for a couple of days. So
Got
for the intention, but then you have to get active and say, how, okay, how I get my license now back to my old system or permanently to my new system. And when you don't do anything, it run out. While with the dongle, you have not this pressure. You have to follow up with your license management. So this is the advantage of dongles versus machine-based licensing with the connection to a specific machine. But like I said, we not controlling what the customer wants. We just provide this flexibility. This is even so in many cases, it's not even this our client, the company, the software company who said, I want a dongle or I don't want a dongle. It's the end user who would finally decide that. So we provide this flexibility, practically the end user can say, I just got a license with a machine binding. I don't like this. I buy an empty dongle from Vivo and I move my license on that. So that's all features we support, and all is this feed is moving. Everything is in high security. You cannot use this moving to duplicate your license. I have suddenly now the dongle license and the old license side by side. So that's definitely not possible.
Got it. Got it. Okay. So I mean, you watch the industry go from hardware dongles to cloud, container, to now like protecting like AI, machine learning, and applications, right? So, what is the shift that surprised you the most? The one you didn't see coming, you know?
That's a good question. We see actually the most stuff coming, and I mean AI is surprising me is they developed AI in 1986, so before
Yeah.
the company started. At this time, everyone used that programming language named Prolog, which was a successor of Lisp, alternative to Lisp before people programmed neural networks in Lisp, which was even awkward. The AI programming language, but when you're looking today, most AI is programmed on the core level in C++, even in C Sharp or Java, and on the high level in Python, because it's all this whole AI world is so little in startup mode. Everything has to get fast and flexible. So with
Yes.
Python, you're highly flexible. Get your stuff quickly done, and if something works, you can easily fix it. Yeah, you have not to go to this so-named production life cycle in software that you say now I make my build and now I make a test and now I find out it doesn't work. So I have to go back to my build and make the next build. And that's all is very great for a software you want to sell in a half year as the next version. I not say we do the same, but when you want quick and dirty something done and the customer said, I want actually something different and I need by way more different data, with Python, you're able to do it quickly. The
Yeah.
challenge is when you sell something with Python, Python is an interpretive language. So you usually have the source code and everything around and you can change it. People just duplicate everything and said, a lot of these C++ libraries include are open source, so you not get the money with that. You get finally the money with your AI agent, with your and when the AI agent is mostly built in Python, you have maybe a problem. So we have a Python protection, which is based on Python converted in C++ code, and that we converted in also in execution code, also faster usually. And then you have there a tool from us where you can protect your Python code. So this is,
Got
I
it.
would say, the most people who develop in AI said that's all we need right now. It could be is different in a couple of years. We see this AI market as a very important market with a lot of growing capabilities. Right now, the AI is usually a software as a service solution, which has, of course, highly flexible for the companies who work these agents on somewhere on their own cloud. And when they don't pay, you cannot use it very easy. You don't
Yes.
need for that. But there's two issues. The one issue is that's a performance issue. People told me that. They said, we a small company, we startup company, we had in AWS or Azure some data we can use, some space. But when the first big customer comes to us, he will need such a high performance hardware to use our system with their much bigger data than we have right now for research. We cannot provide him as a software as a service provider this performance because we're not big enough to get this leased from AWS because it's not there. So the customer has two choices. He can bring it on his own private cloud,
Yes.
Or he says, I even buy your own hardware and put it on my own hardware on premise. And then you suddenly have this problem. Software would run very secure, uncrackable, not cheatable in your cloud, in your software as a service, is now suddenly totally unprotected on the customer side. You have no clue which features he uses, how he uses it, if he installs this on a second cloud or on a second on-premise. So this is where we're coming back. So this is the one thing. The other thing is software as a service is of course you transfer data to somewhere else, which
Yes.
is not a principal problem. I know cloud can be very safe and can be very secure, but there is also regulations where you cannot just copy stuff outside of your physical premise. So it was a quite interesting experience on the GDC conference this year at NVIDIA. So there's a company, they have a software. It's really amazing. Practically, the whole history of a patient is uploaded. The whole text, what happened, which diseases he had in the past. So everything you know from the doctors is practically uploaded. Then you wrote all the X-ray pictures, all the ultrasonic pictures you ever made, upload too, and then ask the guy, is this guy sick or not? They
Mm.
are. And there's an amazing agent to get all this information. And I'm sure to get much bigger and faster, much more reliable and faster results than from a normal doctor who has not
Yeah.
the time to study all these texts. Yeah? It takes
Yes.
days to read all this and shoot the pictures. So, but the challenge is you have these HIPAA regulations where you say you cannot just upload to a small startup company all these pictures and all this text information from your patients. Even if you had the permission, the hospitals would be super carefully. If something fails, the startup is bankrupt and you had the litigation issue.
True.
So
True.
this is another reason why even NVIDIA says all this stuff will finally coming to the premise. And of course, they want to sell their hardware as well. They don't want just everything sell in the cloud. They want also sell their hardware in premise. So this is a legal issue with on-premise. Another issue is performance. So when you
Mm.
have a humanoid robot who has to make in milliseconds decisions, what's my next movement, how I can balance something heavy I lift with my arms and with my legs, yeah, you cannot have a real-time system who runs far remote, yeah, somewhere or with milliseconds delay times in the internet. You want this on the machine. Then
Mm.
you have this AI system who makes using these robots who said, oh, my eyes are seeing something, ears are hearing something. I have the impression there is a person coming and I don't want to hit this person, so I have to stop or I have to make a detour. So this is all safety information that your humanoid robot is not hurt a person in future, and you not put this AI learning system in your software as a service. So there's other reasons why AI will be big on premise.
Wow, this is very insightful actually. Never thought about this, I was just gonna everything gonna be more cloud, away from the hardware, so
Yeah,
interesting.
so I see a vision. There was just confirmed with the car project. It's like humans. So when you a child and you go to school, you learn something, and then you come home and make your homework, and you learn something more, and then you come back and teach what you learned with the rest of the school class. Yeah, this is how
Mm.
humans learn, and computers will be AI-driven computers will be very similar. So in future, you drive a car which is in the morning uploaded with the latest knowledge you get from the cloud. Or for example, there is somewhere a construction area or something is an accident or something happened. All what Google tell you today, it will be much more precise for your self-driving car. And then the car drives and makes individual experience. Yeah, and you have this not you not the only car. There are 50, 100 other cars. They make all the same experience. How precise is this repair area? Yeah, and then they come home to your garage, and then you have a stable internet connection. You upload it, and all other cars will learn. So you have practically a AI agent in the cloud, which is very powerful and knows everything. And then you have a smaller much faster real-time design agent to run in your car who works on this knowledge, but tells also which stuff is not correct and report this. So this is a vision we probably have in 10 years. We don't have it now, but this solves the problem. You drive in a tunnel and suddenly you have no internet connection. And now
Oh, wow.
this car needs, of course, autonomous doing something. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, you can always lose your internet connection, and your car need be autonomous, know what's going on. Like I said, a student who also walk from the school home and without parents, teachers, who knows then what I know, what I learned in the past.
Yeah, good analogy. Learn something from school, come back, and go and teach. With AI and machine learning getting embedded in real industrial products, not just the cloud apps, right? It's a actual machine on shop floor. What's becoming more complicated from prediction standpoint that maybe that wasn't the conversation 5 years ago?
Yeah, I mean the computers get more powerful, and with more powerful computers, you can do more parallel work.
Hmm.
And I think this is the biggest change we see. It's quite interesting. And NVIDIA came in this whole hardware world by accident. So they had these graphic chips, and suddenly people say these graphic chips are really good using our supercomputer for parallelism, highly parallel calculations, not AI. We simulate the weather, and we need 10,000 or 100,000 of parallel CPUs, and these GPUs are cheap, so we use them. And NVIDIA, as a graphic company, supported that. Yeah, and suddenly another accident. They said now we can use the same computers for AI calculations, for highly complex. And this is not even clear if this current architecture is ideal for. There's probably a much simpler architecture possible, but it doesn't matter. We have it now, and
Got it.
so the
Yeah.
next step is then people said, okay, we want to use this hardware back on premise. We want to back it in our mini computer or something small. NVIDIA is again fast enough to say, yeah, we can also provide you practically embedded chips. So when you go in a GDC, you see companies, they have boards. They're not bigger, much bigger than a Raspberry Pi, but they contain an NVIDIA chip and an ARM chip parallel for doing AI calculations. So I asked companies of this hardware company, can you tell me some customers what they're doing? And they said, yeah, there is a company that is quite amazing. They have a camera which is installed in swimming pools, usually hotels or public or but whatever, where you don't have a 24 hours watch guard standing there and see if someone is drowning, you jump in the water. But you want to know an alarm if something happens, someone, a child fall in the water, and you want to see this alarms, but you don't want get alarmed when someone makes wild jumpings or weird fun, yeah.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
this camera is smart enough to learn. They have a button on the back, and he said, a good point, bad point, yeah. And they press the button, and it's amazing that this camera just by analyzing a picture, also a video, a permanent video signal coming in, to find out that someone had unusual movements in the
In the
water.
water, I see. Yeah.
Looks like this guy has a heart attack or
Drowning.
is sinking down. Yeah, and so this when you think about this has all to be done in real time. So you cannot say, oh yeah, I read this video in, and then the next 5 hours I analyze if this guy is drowning. No, you have to do this in a second. Yeah,
Yes.
you not care about the pictures in 5 seconds. You care about the pictures from the last 20 seconds. Yeah, and
Yes.
so this is amazing that such a small processor who runs in such a little camera, who is not bigger than the usually camera for protecting your home, is able to do this and
Got it.
learning. Yeah. So this is
Got it.
a new business where I think AI goes in premise heavily.
Yeah. So I actually I had a question about your EU Cyber Resilience Act, but I think I'm gonna skip this one. Could go to the next one. Is you've been running for U.S. operation as a North America arm of a German parent company for decades, right? What is genuinely hard about this the structures that people on the outside that wouldn't expect? What is actually the advantage?
Yeah, the advantage is, I mean, we in America we not making any development, so we buy all the products from Germany, resell it here. We have our own support, our own marketing, our own sales, of course, but we not doing any development, and this is actually what a lot of companies, when they're relatively small, doing too.
Yeah.
The advantage is that the development is all in-house in Germany, is concentrated there. It's not so diluted over the world, and then you have to a lot of internal communication, different time zones. Yeah, uh,
Yes.
so my office here is in Seattle. And Seattle is like the whole West Coast, relatively expensive for developers. In Germany, this is all a little cheaper, so that's another good news. The company is just, I would say, every office is optimized in doing that what they can do best.
Yeah.
So we get ideas how we should make marketing, and we don't do any marketing which contradicts German marketing. Yeah, but we can modify things that we think that is more affecting expectations from the North American market. So this is all variations we have. I think all these companies who have so global success usually let their offices running relatively easy as long it runs somehow. I mean, they make, of course, losses and everything is going down, and you probably look at a second step what's going wrong there. Yeah, but as long as stuff works, maybe let this guy doing because it works well.
Yeah, I mean, I worked for a German company for 15 years. I know German write good software. So I think
Yeah.
you're right. Let the people do what they do best. So when you talk about software vendors or device manufacturer today, right? People are your potential customer. What are the assumptions they walking with that just wrong? Your customer when you're talking to you, right? What is the assumption is wrong when you just start kind of walking to work with you?
So you mean this more in the embedded market or in the general market?
In the software vendors in for the device manufacturer.
Yeah. So the device manufacturers have the attitude. This is so historical grown that you sell a box with there is something smart inside, and and you not really like the customer doesn't care how much is hardware, how much is software. You don't care as a provider of this company, as the provider of this box. And this is so little tradition. In the past, your whole box was mechanic, then it gets electronic, and finally you added some software to have a better user interface, or you use it software you make it cheaper, or you make it software to make it more powerful or something. But when you check today, you will see your hardware components are more and more standardized. So you have your own hardware design. You buy a Raspberry Pi, then you need a camera. You not develop the camera again. You buy a standard camera. Then you need a you don't have 5 buttons and an LED display anymore. You have a touch screen. Touch screen
Yeah.
is $30. That's all cheap, but bring these 3 buttons and this output with a number. So if you think you have a single number, you want to measure a distance or something, and so LED display, and now you want to bring this on the touch screen. This takes you possibly weeks to develop that. Yeah, that you have this little display running there. So it's all go in software. The software is the highest cost factor for the development, but people are not willing to see that we sell the software. This is something we think that the industry should change.
Interesting. Yeah.
See that
Interesting.
you sell a device, and it could be a car. Yeah, and the car industry actually run this with software-driven vehicles. And the software is practically the core of the car, not the motor, not the transmission, and all this stuff. Same happen with practically every device you sell. So you should say, yeah, we sell this software on this device for additional fee. We make probably the hardware even cheaper, so the entry cost is lower. And then because the software is so expensive, we sell as a subscription. So you practically buy your device every year back because without the software you cannot use it. So it's a win-win situation. The customer has the end user who buy the hardware has much less startup costs at the beginning because he not buy the full price one time. Subscription brings the money back over time. On the other side, when a customer is happy and use the software for years, also the end user use the software for years, customer, also the software vendor or this box vendor, get every year some money back.
got it.
After 3 or 4 years, he get more big when he wants sold the product one time. Positive for customer relationships. So when you have a product and you want people to buy the subscription for the next year, you must have a better service than selling your product maybe over a retail and or reseller, and you never see this customer again, and you say this guy will never buy this box again because he has already one.
Yeah,
So
yes.
this customer relationships is definitely higher when you want your subscription renewed. Yeah. And I mean, the customer has also the advantage, you know this from Microsoft software, you get always the latest updates. Yeah. So this is everything is not the life of this product is not, I would say the life is wrong. The development of this software, of this box is not finished with selling it. Yeah.
Got it.
So
Yeah.
you have a life beyond the sales, the first sales. And this is in general a good thing because you have a better customer relation, but you can also add more innovation in your product in future.
Got it, got it. And I know this, I'm going to insert one more question here that was not planned before. It was that because, a lot of companies, especially a company like yours, like have 30 plus years, right? Normally, a company, they pivot, evolve based on, business grow. But seems like you didn't pivot much. Is that right?
What do you mean with pivot? I don't
Pivot means
understand.
Amazon start with book selling, right? Then right
Yeah.
now is everywhere, right? So you didn't change much. Your niche or your value proposition didn't change much. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. But this is not so untypical for a lot of
Exactly.
family-owned small companies. Yeah, when you think about, there is a lot of consumer products on the market, and they're owned by families. And this company has the name of this product. Everyone knows. Yeah, but they don't go in expanding crazily because
Mm.
so the first thing is it's relatively difficult to find a new market. So you have when you expand a company, you have two options. You can say bring in the existing market more business. Also we know a market and we have customers and we provide them with more technology or more new features. Yeah, this is the
Yes.
way we did. We're going from software protection to software licensing, software monetization. We
Yes.
offer them, the customers more and more features, and because we know our customers well, we say there is a demand for that, and it worked. But we could also say we security company. We make USB dongles. We know security in USBs. Now we go, for example, in the market of a personal identification device in USB, which is also very popular. But then you need have a totally different customers for this. You possibly some
Yes.
end users, yeah. And this is so much more difficult to create this new market. You can use some of your technology again on the new market. That's right, but the cost you finally has to invest in marketing in sales is much higher than you would invest the software in your well-known markets that you have additional features in this market. So they always recommend try to be flexible in the development and keep your customer relationship as stable as possible instead of saying we innovate we technology company, we know we're very specialized in this technology and we jumping from market to market. I don't think that works well.
Okay, this is a
But
very
yeah,
interesting one. Exactly right.
I mean, when you have a big company like Amazon, I mean, I would say the first thing is this changing from Amazon from a bookseller. At first, it was CDs and DVDs, and I think VHS at this time, and then finally they suddenly say now we're selling garden tools and everything. Yeah? Like this is not even a jump. This is an evolution. Yeah, you're saying you sit there and said the customer buy books, they buy also DVDs, and then you have to challenge this. Now we have not just relationship to book publishers. Now we need relationships to CD sellers. So that is your own. This is internal. And then when you sell then garden tools or everything else, furniture, you need by way more relationships. Yeah, but
Mm.
this is the same customer who buys the stuff
I
for you.
see. I see. Yes.
So
Upselling their
Yeah,
services. Yeah.
that's this AWS. That is a different market.
Market, yes.
You
Yeah,
have
yeah.
such a technology like to know software as a service, and you have the hardware, and that this customer suddenly rents this space to use it. That is a different story. That is a new market. But Amazon in this time was big enough,
True.
and say, let's try it. We have unused capacity in our data centers. Why we should not sell them? Customers when
Yeah, yeah,
and
exactly.
it was the same like in media. AWS was also created by accident. Customer asked and said, "We need software as a service. We need processor. We need data. We need hard disk storage. Can you rent this to us?" And the guy said, "Why not? Let's try it." This is a dynamic company, but
Yeah.
it is this is the time where you have a new market. So I would
Yeah.
say
Because I'm just
Amazon
giving
is
a raw
successful.
giving an example, right? I mean, I'm not very accurate, good example, but what I'm saying is, you initially just protecting the software which need to be installed, right? But later you say, you know what? Any software, we will make it a SaaS, protecting that way. So that you just, you shift to like to a business where you're just converting the install-based software into on-premise software to the SaaS because it's easy to control the licensing and all that stuff, right? So but you didn't. But that's good, man. I mean, thanks for sharing it. So
We
my
are
last
honest.
question.
We
Yeah.
honest. We say we someone who has a software as a service running, they don't need us
So
because
what
they
I'm
say,
saying is exactly
I have
right.
an
So
have an account, and when the customer doesn't pay, I shut off the account. Why do you need code
exactly.
reader?
So what I'm saying is
When the customer comes to the on-premise suddenly, then he comes back to us because he said, "I remember these guys. They tell us we don't need you, but suddenly now I learned the opposite. I need them."
exactly. So my last question is, if you think about next 3 to 5 years, right? The things keep you up at night or generally excites you, right? What do you see the biggest pressure point for the company you work with?
Yeah, I mean, it's the AI is new opportunities. I don't see a lot of markets will disappear. It's not like in the automotive industry. You sell something for combustion motor, and everything goes to EVs. And now, what we doing now? Yeah, because we have no knowledge about this, and then
Mhm.
people say, "Oh, everything goes to software. So can we be a software company?" And they will all fail. So I think in our area we relatively stable. We just have to keep the eyes open which trends are happening, which there is probably new operating systems coming. There is a lot, for example, NVIDIA especially is promoting confidential computing very heavily. So they said everything runs in a protected environment. You cannot copy this. So this is something the same. Software protection is probably not needed there, but you still have to license it. So we will have to adapt our licensing to an NVIDIA environment very safe. Yeah. So there is a lot of challenges, but this is not something I would say. Um, this is something you get worried about, and you think about this, and you find solution. But it is not that you get panicked and said, "I don't know a way out of that." Yeah. So I don't see this. Maybe I'm wrong. In 5 years, I will obviously different. But at the moment, I think, I mean, the company was, when the company is going over 30 years, we saw so many things coming and going. So we 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 had these dongles in the time when the internet came, and everyone said no one needs this anymore. Yeah, we have connection,
Mm.
people run stuff on the cloud. Yeah, the cloud came later. Everyone said we don't need you, but it was wrong. When you think about back to hardware in general, people use desktops, and then a lot of people used to laptops, and then suddenly iPhone came. And a lot of people said no one used in 10 years of laptops anymore because everything I can do in my iPhone need with a keyboard, but it can work. And then people said, no, this is not happening. And then the tablets came and said, no, but really the laptops will disappear. Yeah? But when you see the world today, we have everything in parallel. And a lot of people
Yes.
have a tablet, a laptop, and a phone, and a smartphone. And they said, I use the share data as much as possible from this, but I not won't give up a specific type of communication. And so we see this very similar with software licensing. We have to see what the customer wants. We have to see which new market opportunities coming, and we have to probably see which hardware will disappear and replace and upgrade it. So we not bet on a wrong interface where no one is buying our products in a couple of years. Yeah, so that is. I would say so, these little challenges. But this is not
Got
something you get super nervous and said, I have the impression my whole market will disappear.
Yeah, you have seen in the past 30 plus years, you're seeing the market, up and down, and so good. Marcelo, it has been genuinely fascinating. I personally got a lot of good insight. I hope my audience do the same thing, right? I think that what struck me most is the problem you're starting in 1989, right? Hasn't gone away. It's still relevant today, right? And it's just kind of more layers, more distributed. Frankly, the stake is higher right now, right? So before I let you go, if someone listening to this, people in a similar industry, ISV, or building a smart devices, right? So what is some one thought you wanted them to take away
Yeah, I
from?
mean, this is something I said at the beginning. Think about that you monetize your software. The software is practically the core of your product. It's not the hardware anymore. The hardware get more and more standardized. You get more and more higher quantities for cheaper components. But the software make these cheaper components individual that you have a product which is you. So you
Mm.
should start selling your software. You should start selling your software with different features and different prices with different price models.
Yeah.
Software is like bananas. It gets arrived finally at customer side. You buy a
Yes.
green
Yes.
banana, see how it gets yellow. Yeah? This
Yes.
is not a bad thing because as long you care about the customer, they will use the new features when it's available. Yeah? More important is that you begin with your software. It's stable. It's not crashing. It's not unsafe. Yeah? But we make it better over time.
Got it. All right. All right. Thanks. Thanks. It was a very insightful talks. Thank you for your time today.
My absolute pleasure. Have great.
Thanks.
Thanks for inviting me again.
This is it for today's podcast. Again, I'm Karajan Ilgar, your host for the Upfounder podcast. And if you find something useful from this video today, please hit subscribe. And every week we bring founders, business owner, operators who in the trench, building stuff, figure things out, and share the insight. This is something that you cannot find around a regular blog post or just by Googling it. See you in the next episode. Bye.